Welcome to another fun episode of Mind Power Meets Mystic. I am Michelle Walters, the Mind Power part of our podcast, joined by my podcasting pal, Cynthia Varkevisser, our show Mystic. We are very excited to be talking to a wonderful artist and another podcaster today. Noemi Beres is the co-owner of Podcast Connections, a podcast booking agency that helps entrepreneurs and experts grow their businesses through insightful interviews and meaningful connections. With a background in online marketing since 2007 and a master's degree in Danish literature and language, Noemi is a linguist, content creator, and passionate organizer. A self-taught artist residing in Cyprus for 13 years, she creates unique mixed media collages on canvas, drawing inspiration from memories, nature, and Mediterranean life. Through courses in art therapy, color therapy, and positive psychology, Noemi has experienced firsthand the healing power of art, which she uses to help others find relaxation, self-expression, and emotional resilience. Welcome, Noemi. We're so delighted to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Michelle and Cynthia, for today and inviting me.
I think you are the furthest away person we have spoken to yet, being nearly on the other side of the world. I am a Mediterranean fanatic and can only imagine the beauty of the world that surrounds you living in Cyprus.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a fantastic place. I was born and raised in Hungary in Central Europe, but moved here almost, I think it's not 13, but now 14 years ago. And yeah, I fell in love with the Mediterranean lifestyle when I first visited Greece. And then, yeah, the universe brought me to Cyprus. So
Fabulous, fabulous. Well, you are here as one of our guests on our chakra series. So we are moving past chakra 1 and on to chakra 2, which Cynthia is going to tell us about because I'm still learning my chakras, truth be
It's
told.
not, you're
So,
so funny. It's the sacral chakra. So it resides above the tailbone in your sacrum area. And it is a lovely, lovely chakra that we don't talk about very much because it's a feminine chakra. It's about receptivity. It's about femininity. It's about creativity. It's about all these things that are wonderful about receiving. And we are in a time where receiving is not the most looked upon quality, and it's actually a gift to be able to receive. You and I actually did a previous podcast that receiving is the greatest form of generosity because you're allowing someone through vulnerability to be generous as well. So it's a lovely thing. And Noemi, you are a perfect guest because you blend these two businesses together of art as well as speaking through podcasting, right? And connecting people. So there's a lot of creativity happening and on so many different levels. I'm really curious about your mixed media art, more specifically because you mix fabric with paper, which is not easy the way that I look at it, right? It's not very easy, and because it could be very clunky, and you do it seamlessly. Can you tell us about Greece and your art? Like which one inspired the other, or was it mutual? How did that
yeah,
happen?
I mean, I think for my collages, for my mixed media collages, the most inspiring thing is the Mediterranean lifestyle, obviously, like Cyprus, but also my Hungarian heritage. I don't know if people can, see it when they watch it, the video, that I have a few collages behind me on the wall, and I usually mix my Hungarian heritage, like old postcards, old photos, like vintage photos, lace, different fabrics, and I sew everything. I sew everything on a canvas, basically, which is kind of hard on your hands and everything, but it stays there. And I figured out because I live in Cyprus and the glue doesn't stick because the weather is very humid, especially during summer. So I figured out, let's try a new technique. Let's sew everything together. So that's where the idea came from, that I'm sewing my memories together. So it's like kind of a memory book, or you can call it, and that's what I make on my canvases. But I also use like, different memories from my trips from all over the world, from Spain, from Venice, Italy. So these are my memories, like kind of an homage to my memories and homage to my Hungarian heritage.
I love it. I'm all about heritage. If you don't know that, I am all about it because culture is what makes us rich, right? That's the spice. That's the spice
Right.
in your world, in your personal world. Now, you've always had art in your life, but there were specific events that actually transformed your artwork and propelled you in a different direction. Let's talk about that.
Absolutely. Yes, as you mentioned, Cynthia, yeah, we grew up like, a creative, girl. In my teenage years, I was drawing, painting. So I was trying to figure out which one is the closest to me, jewelry making, anything, you name it. But then when I was expecting my son, and that was 2012, somehow the collage technique just came to me. And that was the first time I was expecting him. And I just started to make my first collages. And since then, I just keep doing them. And I just love it. And I can't stop. So somehow the universe sent me like a message that like through my son that I need to make these collages and I need to start working on them. And the second time around, when it was really important for me to start making these collages, it was the time when 2019, and in May, I lost my dad to cancer. Then a few months later, I lost my grandmother to an accident. So it was a lot of trauma, tragedy, grief happening in my life. Then 2020 happened, COVID, pandemic hit, and we lost our business with my husband and, online schooling, full swing. So the world was upside down. I was grieving, starting a new business from scratch. And it was a lot. So what I did, I went back to my art and I started to make these, again, more and more mixed media collages on canvas every evening. I had this ritual that I was in my bed and sewing these canvases and sewing these. I stopped watching the news. I stopped scrolling Facebook. I stopped everything. And I was just focusing on my collages and I was focusing on listening to an audiobook, a podcast, or music while doing that. And that was my sacred space, my sacred ritual. And then I figured that like and it helped me, like obviously not instantly, like, it took time, but after a while, I realized if I can help myself, so I can get on these shows and help other people, and tell them how to make art, and you don't need to be an artist in order to do that.
No, I don't think you need to be an artist. One of the things that I think is really fascinating with people who get into art of whether it's creating collages or performing or different kinds of art is finding the way to create and to recognize that what you create has its own beauty. It doesn't have to be perfect. And so, one of the things that comes up for a lot of people I work with right now is this notion that everything has to be perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Identity, people with identity problems, people with imposter syndrome,
Yeah.
these kinds of things. And so I'm kind of wondering if you can speak a little bit more to your approach and how you've kind of found that way through that enables you to both play and experiment and accept and grow, because I think it's an important thing for people to think about and recognize.
For me, art, this is a great question, Michelle. Thank you. So for me was like, it's a form of meditation. And I think for so many other people too, because it's repetitive. It's a soothing action. It's if some people can't meditate because it just takes so much focus from you and it takes years to meditate perfectly, but not perfectly because nothing's perfect, but like meditate in a more effective way, because our monkey brain, it always like comes back and it's really hard to control that. But interestingly, when you make art, it happens so much easier and naturally when you do that, because when you sew, when you paint, when you just maybe use just a coloring book or anything with color pencils, it's amazing like even your blood pressure drops, your pulse rate goes down, because it's like a form of meditation. It soothes you, and it's a form of catharsis. It's purging. It's amazing because you are in a different world and you can connect with yourself on a so much deeper level. So for me, that's the most important part. And that's also the healing part, because you do this repetitively. If you do this like every day, maybe just for 10 minutes, and whatever, method you use, it's amazing that it can, increases the serotonin level in your brain, which helps fight depression. So it has a healing property, and not just something woo stuff that somebody came up with it. It actually helps your body to relax and to keep just quiet your mind and quiet your body and soul, and it's amazing. But it's also it really helps to express different emotions: anger, hurt, sadness, grief, and it doesn't really matter how disturbing your art is, because as you said, Michelle, it doesn't have to be perfect. It can be dark, it can be whatever you want to be. You don't have to show it to anyone. This is yours, it's your journey, and the journey is so much important than the actual artwork that you prepare. And you can express all kind of emotions, and you don't have to sweep them under the carpet, but it will come out and it will help you to heal. So it has all these healing modalities, and that's the amazing thing about it. And also it helps your self-esteem, because there are so many people in this world nowadays. And what I noticed, especially women, that we struggle so much with self-esteem. And just the idea that you finish something, it's just amazing. And then it's like, I finished something, this is me, that's what I created. Because in this virtual world, this is very few things that we can actually touch and feel physically. And there's an artwork, a painting, a drawing that we can, it's paper or a textile, we can touch these things. I think it's really important.
I think so too. And the other piece of what we'd kind of looked at and talked about is how, and you explained, was really pulling yourself out of the online world.
Yeah.
And putting yourself into the hands-on, making something tangible world. And I just think that's so important. The digital world is so easy. It's so push a button. It's so, it's kind of always there 24/7, but it's not inspiring that level of creativity, that level of playfulness. And really, I think as it relates to my understanding of the second chakra, that sense of self and being and allowing that self-expression to happen. And I just find that so healing and important. And I'm kind of excited for you, Noemi, for having found a way out, a new ritual of doing something that's not digital.
Yeah, it was
Frankly.
really important for me too, because I've been working remotely since 2007, which was way, way before the pandemic. And so, I mean, that was a new thing back then, that you just started to work remotely. So it's hard to, get in touch, keep in touch with people. And I think for me, it's really important to have something that I make with my two hands, and that's also important for other people, I guess.
Yes.
I'm really curious about the people that you serve. The way that you're talking about it, once you said ritual, I'm hooked. Anything that says ritual, because there's a sacredness to it, right? There's an
Right.
intentionality, and I love that. And the the things that people get out of it, it relates to all the chakras, right? Sense of well-being, sense of being bigger than something else. Um, but I like the thought that people are actually finding pleasure, right? They're finding pleasure
Mm.
in something that they're creating. Can you think of anyone in particular where they came to you and they were like, I'm not an artist, or they're saying, my life just sucks. And, please help me. I'll do anything. And how did the transformation take place before your eyes?
I usually do this through podcasts. So I don't really have like a clientele that I
Mm.
work with. But for me, the experience that actually, like, I can bring my mom as an example. So I have it's a short story for you. So middle of the pandemic, my mom actually stranded here in Cyprus with us, which is not the worst place to be stranded during the pandemic. But obviously she wanted to get back home to Hungary, but she couldn't because there were no flights. So she stayed here, and obviously she was anxious about how her home is at, and it was like a kind of crazy time. And so what I did, I mean, she's nervous, and she was a kindergarten teacher for 40 years, so she always liked, art as well and creating something. So I had a few coloring books here in the house because we couldn't buy anything because everything was closed, and colored pencils, and I gave it to her. So every afternoon when she was just everything was too much for her and we were too much for her, the whole family. So she sat down and started coloring. And I think she finished like 2 coloring books while she was here. And she loved them and she really enjoyed them because obviously it worked. It worked on her. And I didn't say a word to think. It's just like, Mom, maybe you should just start doing this. And not should, because I don't like the word should, but like, I just like, yeah, just try this. And she went along and she enjoyed it. So, and I saw that she got so much calmer. But also, there's another thing that I can mention. That I was on a podcast the other day, and the host told me that, when I interviewed you, I had the urge to buy a canvas again and paint, and I started to paint again. And that was, and when next time we had a chat, I was just so happy for her because obviously she, if I can just help one person, even through, the virtual world, and when I'm on podcasts, and I can just tell them to just inspire them, it's like, okay, just do it and just find your joy, your happiness in it. And I think that's a win for me.
That's beautiful, Noemi. And I know it's not sort of exactly on the topic of art and it's not exactly on the topic of podcasting, but when I met you, I found it fascinating. Noemi, tell our listeners all of the languages you speak.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, well, I'm from Hungary, so I speak Hungarian. That's my mother tongue, English, like, yeah. And because I have master's degree in Scandinavian linguistics, so I speak Danish and Swedish. I understand Norwegian a bit. And I also learned Spanish 10 plus years. And I learned Greek because of I live in, Cyprus. That's not perfect. So I'm not like, just working on it. And I also learn Irish as well because I lived in Ireland before Cyprus, and I never learned Irish while I lived there, but I still love Celtic mythology and Ireland and everything that connects to that, and have great memories, so I learned that too. Yeah.
Okay, that makes
It's
me want to ask, what language do you dream in?
That's a great question. I never thought about that. I think sometimes in English.
Really?
It's really a mix for me, like, because I read most of the things in English. I watch like Netflix in English. I listen to podcasts in English. Obviously, Hungarian is our common language at home because my husband and son, we all speak Hungarian together. But my son is like bilingual with English and Hungarian. But most of the time when I think, that's English too, which is, I've
Wow.
been living abroad, like away from my country, like 21 years now. So it's hard to. So I mix it, not like the language. I never mix the language. So but thinking about it or like jotting down notes or something, that can be mixture of Hungarian English sometimes. Depends on what mood I'm in, or like, whatever.
I just I feel like I've met a lot of people in this world. I don't think I've met anyone who has the breadth of languages and depth in languages that you have, Noemi. It is a striking and memorable skill set. Allows you to talk
Thank you.
to I mean, I guess you don't speak Chinese or Hindu, but there's
No.
a lot of people in the world you could talk to, which I find fascinating and amazing.
That is pretty incredible. You know, um, I'm impressed when I meet someone who knows 2 languages, and here you have a son that's speaking 3, so
Yeah, well,
I
we're
was always
Americans. Americans
fascinated.
don't learn languages. It's not our number one skill set.
not yet, not
Not
yet.
yet.
I feel like it's going to come.
It might change.
Yeah,
It might need to change.
I
Yeah,
agree.
America is certainly changing.
Yes.
maybe I'm not sure about the direction, but changing definitely. So
I just got back from the US like 2 weeks ago, and that was my first time ever. So it was a great, great time and a really interesting, yeah, experience and memories and everything. So
where did you visit in the US? It can be so different depending on where you go.
yeah. I mean, I was in North Carolina, so
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Wow. That's,
Pretty
yeah,
green.
really pretty. And were you in the tech area? So you're in,
I was
yeah.
in the Winston-Salem area, and
Mhm.
it's like mostly we did hiking and everything with my friends. So yeah, it was pretty amazing.
That's
So I
super
really
beautiful.
enjoyed it. I love nature, so uh, I would love to go to New York one day, but maybe it was good to start with a smaller city because it can be overwhelming. And
Yeah.
I was I went many times to Dublin because I lived in Ireland or London or Budapest in Hungary, and those are bigger cities. But I mean, New York, that's a different scale. I mean,
Yeah.
that's, compared to Europe and everything.
Yeah.
It is different, but big cities are just big cities. That's
Yeah.
my takeaway. Big cities are just big. You've been to big cities I haven't been to, but I'll get
Yeah.
there. I'll surely I'll get there. Noemi, is there something you'd like to share with our listeners?
Sure. I love connecting people and I love to connect with people too. So I'm always happy to, jump on a call and just tell people about our podcast guesting service that we offer. And you can visit our website, which is podcastconnections, plural.co, not com. And you can always find me on LinkedIn, Noemi Beres, and also on Instagram, which is my artsy page, and noemiberes.com. That's my art page, my online gallery where you can find mostly my cut and paste collages.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for appearing on our show and telling us all about art. You are making me think about the blank canvases in the closet, and maybe I should do something with them.
I hope I inspired you.
Oh, you did. You did. Thank you so very much.
Thanks,
Thank
Noemi.
you.
All right.
Thank you, Michelle and Cynthia.